Hey, this is Full Game Prometheus, the only YouTuber that actually gives you full games of all the tips and schemes I post on my channel. I'll show you the good, the bad, and the ugly. Alright, so guys, if you are new to my channel, make sure you hit the subscribe button, also that notification icon so you can get my daily uploads. I'm actually going to be talking about building an offensive scheme and what the pros do and how they actually go ahead and cause their opponents with some serious issues and the serious dilemma of actually going ahead and stopping their offense. Now, I want to talk about basically the four fundamental things about having a really great offensive scheme. If you have a great offensive scheme, you can beat an opponent with an inferior team. That's just the truth of the matter. It's been the case. Guys I've ran into a lot of people that have had really good cards when playing Madden Ultimate Team, but because I had a better offensive scheme and a better defensive scheme, I was able to go ahead and get these guys to rage quit against me. And the one thing that really makes pro players unique is that they understand the four different types of areas to really attack their opponent with, the four different types of things or aspects to do that. So let's talk about this. This is fundamentally something that's been carrying on. If you had Madden 13, Madden 14, basically this is the same type of a strategy that you would have, and it's gonna carry on until Madden updates the playing feature, and maybe in the next generation where they change around the features. First and foremost, I want to talk about the understanding of calling base plays and making sure they're not your audibles. So as you can see right here, I'm going to break down the single back deuce close, one of the more popular formations, and why this is one of the formations extremely difficult to stop. But I want to point out something is that you can see right here, stick inside zone, play action drag wheel, and then the final play would be tight end angle, or all my audibles. When it comes to audibles, you never want to call an audible as your base play when you're coming out of the huddle. You want to call some type of a run or some other pass that you want to attack your opponent with to be very effective. So that's just one tip number one. I didn't realize that some people in the community just don't really take in consideration of it. If you know tight end angle is one of your audibles, if you know that the inside zone split or the play action drag wheel is an audible, you do not want to go ahead and call this as one of your base plays starting from the huddle. So you want to optimize the play calling that you can get from formation. So these are going to be the 5 plays you go with. I'm probably going to go with the halfback wham with this particular play. So let's go ahead and set our audibles. Inside zone split is really not the play that I want to go ahead and use. I want to use the halfback stretch as one of my audibles, and stick is going to be a play that we're going to go ahead and swap out so I can hit my opponent with bench. It's a good way to go ahead and hit my opponent off the right hand side. And play action drag wheel, I'd probably keep this in my scheme, but for this video I'm going to go ahead and choose this play, which is going to be the play action stretch shot, because I want to go and emphasize one of my concepts. Now, once again, you want to go ahead. I know I have my audible halfback stretch is my outside run. I want to go ahead and have an inside run to complement it. And we'll talk about the first concept of running a very effective offense, and it's basically having a three-headed rushing attack. So what a three-headed rushing attack is basically being able to attack your opponent with inside runs or runs to the outside. And what's cool about this particular formation, which is the deuce close, is that you could flip the play and be able to attack your opponent off to the left and off to the right. And I also have the ability to go ahead and attack my opponent inside too. So that's what's cool about having a halfback run as a base play. And you just go ahead and just run it right up the middle to pick some pretty good yards. Now, key to understanding the effectiveness of the run is only important if you understand that getting 4 yards with a run is just as good as basically getting 10 yards from a scheme type of situation. You don't have to go ahead and break out a big run against your opponent like a play like this to really have an effective running game. It's more about forcing your opponent to actually having to put guys down and stop that run, even if you're picking up 5 or 6 yards at a time. So it's important to be able to understand that. So what a three-headed rushing attack is the ability to go ahead and flip your play and have a run off to either side of the field, so off to the right or off to the left. So he has to defend the different areas of the field. And conversely, if you are actually playing this game and you're having a hard time stopping stopping the run, you have to have some kind of run defense like that to go and shut those runs down. So three-headed rushing attack is primarily one of the most important things to have in your scheme. Now there's a lot of people that will actually choose to use the pass to open up the running game and close the game out with a running game, and a lot of other players actually choose to use the run to establish their offense and actually go ahead and open up the passes a little bit later. But as you can see right here, I'm gashing my opponent for 5 or 6 yards, being able to go ahead and gash him up the middle with a nice little run to the outside and to the inside. So that actually will open up your offense dramatically when you actually can pick up some pretty good yards on the ground. So three-headed rushing attack, primarily one of the most important things to actually have with your scheme. Now I want to talk about establishing underneath routes. When it comes to actually throwing the ball, just as effective as a run is maybe a 4 or 5 yard completion. So one of the most deadliest plays out of this formation is the tight end angle. This is a very effective play, and a lot of it has to do with this drag route with these complement routes on the back end side. Easy to get rid of the ball really quick if you got an opponent that likes to use a lot of heavy pressure against you. Easy completions, especially against certain types of zones and coverages. And what's gonna do is it's gonna force your opponent to go ahead and start playing underneath coverage, shallow coverage against you. So that's what's really cool about it. Also, if you have you effectively attack the flats with your opponent with the running back. That's another thing that you can go ahead and do. So let's see if Ajay gets opened up for us right here. Nope, doesn't look like he gets opened up. As you can see that the defender actually comes on the back end side. But I always can go check it down to that little drag route, and you can see I'm actually picking up really easy yards against my opponent because he doesn't have any people in the center. So let's see here, this little flat route. I'll pick it up 5 or 6 yards, but now he's going to have to start really being aggressive and actually going in to defend underneath, and that should open up other things too. Now, another thing you can do is attack the sidelines. This is another thing that pro players do. I can tell you that majority of the time, they're actually most pro players, good players, are going to play the middle of the field with their defender. So they're going to usually use a middle linebacker or maybe a free safety. These guys are going to be the user defender because they want to play the middle of the field. And the reason why they do this because they're going to come down and actually play the middle of the field. They'll probably pass off a coverage off to an outside cover corner or outside safety to go ahead and pick that person up, and they'll play the middle of the field and try to pick you off. So a lot of the pro players and a lot of the good players that play Madden, what they do is they try to go ahead and try to attack the sidelines with levels. So essentially what they'll have is they're going to have a defender, they'll have a guy in flat. They're also going to have a corner route on the backhand side to go ahead and try to attack their opponent with. So you need to have in your offense, if you really want to be an elite player, you need to be able to effectively attack your opponent on the sideline. So this is a simple levels concept or sail concept that a lot of players will actually go ahead and use. And you can pick up some pretty easy yards with this, especially if he falls back in coverage. And what's cool about it is that it's very fast, easy reads. You got 3 real quick reads that you can get away with and pick up some pretty easy yards. So let's show you how coverage, how doing this against coverage really will open up your offense. So if you got an opponent that's running a lot of coverage, you can use just a sail concept off the left-hand side. And what's going to happen is those flats are going to get wide open for you if he's not paying attention to it. So, and you can pretty much do this on both sides of the field, especially if you're using a formation like this. So, if the defender doesn't fall into the flat, just go ahead and take it, pick up the easy yards, and just abuse your opponent with it. So, it's just another good way to do that. Now, a lot of players will use cover 2 coverage, and that's been pretty much the meta going on with Madden right now. But you have to understand that if you attack the sideline, basically cover 2 coverage is going to give up one of those different areas of the field because that defender really can't play both areas of the field at once. Sometimes you're going to get an opportunity like this where he plays a hard flat, and that's going to give you an opportunity to go ahead and get a nice big corner out on the backhand side. So attacking the sidelines is a hallmark concept or strategy that a lot of top Madden players do. And the reason why is that there's just, from the level standpoint, they just can't go ahead and protect both sides. So that's just something you have to have into your game plan, is attacking the sidelines, avoiding the middle of the field, and just trying to attack one single defender and have them make a choice on where you're going to go ahead and put the ball. Now, the final thing we want to talk about is a big play opportunity, stretching the ball vertical in your offense. So we've got a three-headed rushing attack. He's going to have to play the run. I've got basically underneath routes, little drag routes, little flat routes. Underneath routes, you're going to go and check down and actually force your opponent to play down by the line of scrimmage. Now you're attacking the sidelines off to the right and off to the left, and you got basically levels concept. You're hitting the flats. You're also hitting up the deep corners, and this is going to expose your opponent for a big play up top, because he's so concerned about everything close to the line of scrimmage that he's going to get himself exposed for a big play over the middle. So I'll give you an example of how this works. So a lot of top players will do certain concepts to go and attack their opponent up the middle, and right here we're just going to go and show you how right here we can get ourselves a huge play right up the middle against a cover 2 coverage. Now there's a lot of plays that you can attack against your opponent if they're using basically cover 3, and that's actually pulling down defenders. But what's cool about these type of concepts is that they're basically, this particular formation is basically universal. It's going to give you an opportunity to go and attack your opponent for a deep ball right there. So right there, that defensive back actually plays it perfectly. Let's just go ahead and see if we can do it again on the backhand side right here. So we're going to be able to go and hit this guy right up the middle, and we're just going to go ahead and just nice little aggression catch, and you're picking up 40 yards at the top, and a lot of times you can get 40 yards, touchdowns, get you that big play, especially when you're in a situation where maybe it's just a score is going to be the difference in the game. So guys, if you are looking for schemes and you want to see these type of schemes broken down, I consider myself a meta-free zone. I try to build out unique screens. I don't try to use the popular plays and regurgitate it as my own. I'll go into a playbook, develop a scheme off of concepts, and say, hey, this is how I'd run this particular formation, how I'd effectively run the ball with it. But this is universal. This is the kind of stuff that the top Madden players use. They have a three-headed rushing attack. They can run off to the right, off to the left, up the middle. They will attack their opponents underneath and settle for easy completions underneath and pick up 4 or 5 yards. They'll attack the sidelines, either the flat with a levels concept, either high-low, to force your opponent to actually go and attack the sidelines, and then set them up for a big play where they'll be able to beat them deep down the field. So to my subscribers, thank you once again for your support. If you guys are new to my channel and you're looking for Madden 19 tips, or if you want me to build a scheme, you can go to my Patreon account and I'll be able to go and build out a scheme for you. So thank you for your support, and until next time.